Joining the April 24th VOLTHA TST call. We are recording the session so we can post it later to the VOLTHA playlist, so please keep that in mind during any discussions and comments. And with that, I think we are ready to begin. So we do have a number of updates to get to today, so I think we'll start off just going down the agenda that I added out, and I had forgotten to add one item on there that I meant yesterday, which was the homework for service providers from the lockdown related to prioritization of the remaining OpenOMCI items. So I added that to the bottom of what you see on the screen here. And I'm hoping we will have time to get to that also. Okay, so I think the first topic today is related to our plans for tagging 1.3, and that is the path forward and target release for the microsemi OLT adapter. So I know there's been some initial review and some discussion. So do we have a, Sean, I'll probably ask you, I've been involved in those discussions going forward. Do we have a plan for when the appropriate time is for the microsemi OLT adapter to be folded in?
I think right now there are a couple of questions. I was going to send it back to is Daniel on the call? Not.
No.
Yeah, I don't see him. I think based on some of the review, I have not read what Kim's response. I think Jono was saying that there's a lot of debug messages in there, and also there's some comment out stuff, right? Hey, Jono, you're on, right?
Yes.
So I think it would be better for them to clean up, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends what kind of standards they want to set, but yeah, in my opinion, it's probably best to just. I mean, it's not that hard to go through and clean up some of the stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would suggest, because 1.3 is it's already I think a little bit late, so I think my proposal is put them into 1.3.1. But of course, I ask what's the effort, when we cut the 1.3.1 to include that, what additional work we need to do, So Kim, I think Kim, you enable your voice to try to say something.
No, just trying to connect here.
Okay. So my question is, if we work with the Telefonica, because I think there are some follow-up questions and also some cleanup need to do. So shall we, if we offer them 1.3.1, what's the additional burden to the community to cut 1.3.1?
Is there another reason to cut 1.3.1, or is this the only reason?
This is the only reason.
They also said last time that they don't really mind if it goes in 1.3 or 2.0, right? So.
Right. But I'm kind of, the 2.0 right now, we don't have a timeline, right? So it's sort of, potentially get into the August timeframe. So I don't know whether that'll be too late or not. So.
Hey, Sean.
Is there any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, so I'm going to ask a newbie question, right? So, why would you bother tying the release of VOLTHA as a product to the adapter when I thought the whole idea was for them to be separable, like modular, if you will, right?
Right now, right, but right now in 1.3 it's not modular push, right? So later on in 2.0, then we can definitely be modularized or containerized, right? The adapter. But right now, the VOLTHA adapter is part of the VOLTHA core. So that modularization of the container and then core is not there just yet.
Okay.
Kevin, did I answer? Yeah. So I guess, or potentially 1.3.1 can, if we find any, critical bug, we can put it in.
So Sean, isn't the question really, is someone waiting, or is it critical for anybody that it's in 1.3 or 1.3.1? Why do we have to do that? Why can't we just wait till 2? And if people want to use it, they can use the master branch. I mean, is there someone sitting there saying, I can't do a trial unless microsemi is an official 1.3.1 release?
I guess the Telefonica didn't state it that, right? But we do have other, as far as I know, there are someone else is asking for microsemi. So, okay, if we don't cut it, just tag it. So educate me, right? So
I'm not even sure what tag it. Why? I mean, again, is someone saying I can't do a trial without the microsemi in an official tagged release, or can they say, hey, I can use the master release for what I'm doing? I guess I'm trying to understand that who's a customer here. What's the use case that we're trying to achieve by tagging it or having microsemi in a tag before 2.0?
I guess, if Telefonica, I mean, based on what they say, they don't really need, they don't, basically I think what Daniel was saying, they don't mind to be in 1.2. I get at 2.0, then I guess I think it seems like the 1.3.1 may not be the good idea. At least I don't have the good reason why we want to cut 1.3.1. Other than right now the only official feature to be included is the Telefonica adapter.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we get to a point where we have to cut a 1.3.1 for some other reason, we can then talk about, do we want to incorporate this into it? But I wouldn't plan a 1.3.1 just for that.
Okay. That is that everybody's approach? I guess I can just go back to Telefonica and then explain that to them. So the microsemi adapter code, if they clean it up, and also if there's other critical item need to be fixed in 1.3 time frame, then we will include that in 1.3.1. Otherwise, based on their statement last week, we can wait. They should be able to wait until 2.0.
And if they do wait for 2.0, there's probably going to have to be some significant changes to the adapter code anyway.
Yes, that's true. So then, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to mention was, is it also dependent on the XPON?
That's one question. I don't believe they responded to me with it. But if that's a GPON, I think they do the adaptation of the existing the microsemi adapter Ali created. That's pre-XPON stage, right? I don't know whether Jono or Kim, when you guys take a look of the code, do you see any reference of the XPON config? I don't believe that when it went through the presentation, it took the XPON.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Anybody remember that presentation they gave? Did they use any XPON config at all? The only thing I remember is they used the flow decomposer.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Garrett issue. I don't see anything about XPON in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they just default to a single TCON, single jam. Maybe that's their model. I think that is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will, I actually, that's one of the items I'd like to get back to them to make sure they're aware the exponent is going to be deprecated, right? So I'll follow up on that one again. At least give them a reminder.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. I think that covers probably what we needed to cover today for the microsemi adapter. Any other questions before we go on to the next topic? All right. Was there a comment?
Nope. It's just my phone.
Okay. The next one is for the Northforge presentation on automated testing that we had last week. And I believe we were going to target some follow-up activity and discussion between ONF and Northforge this week. So I wanted to check if that's on track or if there's something you need me to facilitate there.
I think that's I'm here in ONF, so I'm going to talk to Sarav and Shad about, and I just talked to Jono when he arrived. That's why he was laughing when I was asking him a question. We're in the same room actually. We believe that's a very good idea. So we like the proposal, and I think Daniel is on here right now. We probably do need to provide some of the use cases or some of the detailed maybe review some of the test setup and then the test procedure again with them in separate, maybe not through the TST. But I'm wondering whether the vendors, or the community members you have, if you have the existing test pod in your facility, if there's anything you want to input, that'll be great. So Daniel, do you mind? Sorry I didn't get back. Don't have anything for you today, but I'm going to work out with the ONF and then see whether we can formalize this testing support you offering and contributed to the open community formally later. Would that be okay?
I think he may be on mute.
Okay.
Sean, why don't you go ahead and if you have feedback and you need to engage Daniel, go ahead and do that. And then we'll just try and get an update. If there's anything you need to follow up on afterwards, then you can bring that back to. Okay. Anything else? Then the next item I wanted to talk about was the 1.2.1 release notes. They are out there, but it still is marked as draft. So I wanted to check with folks if there's been sufficient time for review, if we can go ahead and formally remove the draft from that. So navigate over here quickly. So in the JIRA issue, there is a link to the release notes, and the link is also on the wiki, indicating that it's a draft version of the release note. So I'd like to get that closed out this week. Are there any folks on the call that need additional time to review those release notes?
I think I think on the adapter sites, right? There's on the release note. This okay. This is I'm going to include the 2.4.6 the update. I think that's the edge core stuff. The Sunny used to test at least the PDID stuff, and also the Redfish server related testing. So I'm going to include that load in the release note. I'm aware I cannot talk today. I'm aware the Broadcom has released 2.6, and I think we posted on the TST call, not TST, on the VOLTHA Discuss. I'm not recommending 2.6 at this point because I'm not sure anybody has done any system testing against edge core running the 2.6. And if I'm correct, right, even Bell released 2.6, the Ecton need to issue a patch associated to that 2.6 also. So I think I'm just going to ignore 2.6 at this point, and then we need to. I'm talking to AT&T internal folks. We'll review what's the feature supported in 2.6, and potentially that's something if we find out the important features, then we will include it in the adapter improvement portion of that. But I think for 1.3 release, we should stay with 2.6. Is that 4 something like that? At least the version Sunny tested against. So, is anybody has any concern that I don't include 2.6 in the release note? Okay, no concern. So I'm going to just use the 2.4 something release on the release note.
Okay. And any other comments from folks? Anyone else needs additional time before we change those from draft to our formal version for the release note?
Atran, do you guys test against 1.3 with your OLT? And then is there any update on your OLT ONT software side?
For the 1.3 release, yes, we have updated our OLT drivers on the hardware. Is that what you're asking?
The software, mostly, yes.
Yes. And I've updated.
Can you provide those? Yeah, so if you can update in the release 1.3 release note, that'll be great.
Yeah, I did that yesterday.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you very much.
Both the OLT and ONU versions.
Okay.
That's in the 1.3 version, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. So Sean, were you asking about the 1.2 version or the 1.3 version?
1.3.
The release notes, okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Oh, you're talking about 1.2.1. Sorry.
I'm talking about 1.2. So let me circle back to the 1.2.1. So do you still need, were the updates you're talking about, did you want those in 1.3 or did you want those in 1.2 as well?
I'll have 1.2.1 and 1.3 the same version.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so we still need the updates for the 1.2.1 release notes, and I didn't hear anyone else say they needed additional time to review that. So I would say, Sean, let's try and get that done no later than this Thursday, so the 26th. Is that okay? And then we can remove the draft.
I'll set up a reminder so I can do that by the end of today.
Okay, great. Thank you. That way we get that one closed out. And then now we'll move on to the 1.3 status. So I did close out sprint 4, so that is completed. The release notes for this, I think part of what you were talking about, Sean, is also related to the request we had for the documenting the dependency on the firmware. So is this part of what you're planning to have covered with the notes or the updates to the software version, or is there something else we need to capture? This was for, hopefully it's being brought over on the screen. This version we have in the release notes that Sunny had tested with for the issue.
Right, so I'm going to include those.
Okay, all right. So I think that covers then this item. Is there anything else that needs to be captured in the release notes for that? Okay, and then there were no further comments received during the comment window we opened up for last business week on the deprecation of XPON in the 1.3. So we'll need to get the draft release notes updated with a note for that as well. So we have those two items, I think, in progress. And then there are some open items still on release notes. Let me get back to the view where
Good morning.
yes. Is there a question?
No.
Okay. All right. So we have a good number of updates in for the release notes. I think we still have some remaining items.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. In 1.3,
Yes.
why don't you go through this one, and then we can see, whether installer or things like that need to be updated.
I believe Ken did that or are you talking about the documentation or?
Because I'm going to bring in 1.3 next week, right? To Foundry. So is that a fresh install or it's upgrade, or do we have a documentation regarding to how do we upgrade from whatever version to 1.3?
And I don't see Ken on here to talk about the section he updated. So what I would
Ken's on PTO.
Okay. Okay.
He's off the coast. He's off the coast of Africa at a wedding, so he will not probably be attending.
Likely not. Okay.
So I guess, yeah. So the installer workflow. So maybe it's my bad, right?
I'm assuming that the upgrade procedure is going to be uninstall and reinstall. I can't imagine it's going to be something else at this point.
But the reinstall package, the installer, would it be there?
Will the installer be there? I mean, the problem is in previous versions we weren't using Kubernetes. In this version we're using Kubernetes. So I think there's some significant differences. I don't know if I'll have to check on the status of the installer to figure out what's going on there.
Okay, yeah. I guess the CNI is still in charge on the installer, right? So do you think maybe you can check with Sergio and see whether something can be make available this week, because I'm bringing in next week?
I will see at least the status of the installer, and you're looking for an update in the release notes in terms of the installer. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
I'm updating the release note and also the actual installer software.
Okay, I'll at least get the status and figure out what's going on, and then I'll contact you.
Okay. And I guess I need to make sure we have, whether we have the Kubernetes running or the Kubernetes is part of installation. So.
Yep, understood.
Okay, Sean, did you have other questions?
No, that's all. Because,
okay.
Yeah, I know. I'll be in Atlanta next week, all week, but I hope we can be able to, install it without any problem. So.
Okay. Then the next sections I wanted to go over and make sure I have the right assignees for them as well. So Girish, I think I see you on there. I copied your name as the assignee based on what was done for 1.2. So is that correct for the VOLTHA security section and then also for device management?
Yes, but nothing has changed for security, and probably for device management we have Redfish. Kim, probably I'll sync up with you later on this, but
okay, then we can just, if you reviewed, confirmed there's nothing done, then all we need to do is leave the note the same, no change since release 1.0 in this case for security, and then we'll just remove this note here and then close out the ticket. So just
okay.
a little confirmation check for those.
Okay.
Okay. And then Niren, I don't think I saw Niren on. Okay. So the XPON config section, I think this is where we need to add the note about the deprecation of XPON effective with 1.3. So we may need to sync up offline with Niren. I don't know that there were any other changes in this release either for XPON, but may just be a matter of making that notation. And then Kim, I have you down for the edge core adapter. Are you still the right person for the release notes updates for that? It looks like you're talking, but I can't hear anything. I see it activated next to your name.
How about this?
Oh, there, I hear you now. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, all right. Yeah, all right. So I need to take a look at that and see what, there wasn't a whole lot of adapter changes between the two updates. And then we decided, speaking of the device management, we decided to push that Vault 248 stuff out, with the redfish. So let me see if I can get that list updated here soon.
Okay, thank you. And then Sean, I already heard you mentioned that you were planning to update the adapter list and compatibility matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And we already have some of the info from AdTran updated in there, it sounds like, as well from Chip. Okay, I think that's it for what we have to cover here. So we'll see if we can start getting these completed out, and then we can issue the 1.3 release notes as well. And then let me go on to the next topic. The next one is now we can move on to the 2.0 discussion. So I wanted to get a status on where folks are for various steps that we're going through here. And the first one I have, and I'll just go over our high level first, is where folks are for the entry of the epics and user stories. We had targeted the end of this week for completion of that effort. And then that was for this group of topics or scope items. Then we had additional scope items that required further discussion or technical deep dives or clarification. And I wanted to check on status for those because we wanted to get these slotted in for the Thursday TST call as appropriate as well. So I wanted to see where we are on those. And then also an update on the action item we had for service providers to take a look at the prioritization of the remaining OpenOMCI work effort for 2.0. Okay, so if I go up to the top, so David, I may just check with you since you said that, so since Ken is not available today, I know he'd entered a number of user stories and epics related to the containerization and to the restructure of the Volt core. Do you know if that work is complete or if he has additional items?
As far as I'm aware, it's complete from a status yesterday.
Okay.
So I don't believe he's going to be adding any more, at least not before we start.
Okay. Yeah, complete for this initial effort for what we understand as of today. Okay, thank you. And then on the technology profiles, what's the status on that? Are we on track?
So this is Sean. I've started doing some just some work breakdowns around that. I'm actually in Menlo Park this week. So
you are?
Yes, I am. Is that
okay? I'm here also.
Okay. Okay. Good.
What
we can talk about the profiles, I guess.
But okay. One thing I want to say is, I do believe there are a lot of other members, right, in the community will be interested in what is coming up, and then so what exactly you're working on. I know you probably do need some time to start initial work, but at the same time, I think just Redis alone may not be able to deliver the whole thing, right? So I would request Redis or Sean, engage with the community as early as possible, because not only otherwise, we have to wait until everything is established, and then the other community members have to react to what has been established, right? So is there any better way to do so we can get everybody engaged? And
yeah, so I'm going to talk with ONF sort of so sometime today, this afternoon. We kind of schedule some time to talk about kind of some of the work breakdown. I don't know if David is around. Maybe Wednesday we could maybe all get together and talk at Menlo Park, or have a conference call to do that. So I have some idea about what areas people have kind of signed up in theory to kind of work on. So we can just confirm what areas people are kind of interested in working on. From Redis's perspective, we'd be obviously looking at more from the adapter side of things, but there's obviously work within the VOLTHA core in terms of managing the service profiles, managing the service instances, maybe some resource management that would be done kind of the VOLTHA core area. But yeah, because this week, hopefully we can kind of kick off doing more of a detailed work breakdown and looking at some of the epics and stories that we want to create.
Okay, and then I do have down from the meeting as well that Netzio is interested in having involvement here as well.
Yeah, so if they're around
that
too,
discussion also, yeah.
Hi,
Yeah, maybe.
actually, I returned to Turkey last Friday, but Bora Bora can maybe may join these meetings, or if you are planning to make a conference call, we can attend these meetings. Actually, when I was in Sunnyvale, we had some meeting with the Saurav, and actually we are volunteered to take the pond simulator. Maybe according to the further discussions, we can talk our contribution to technology profiles again. We would like to help you, but according to the situation, we can think about it again.
Yeah, so maybe I can set up a meeting Wednesday. I don't know if people are going to be available. I can send something out, and maybe we can agree on some time frame.
Yeah, it can be good for us.
Since Mesut is in Turkey, so we need to, if we want to send something out, we need to submit. Sorry, Mesut.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I just apologize. So maybe early time frame will be better for Mesut, right? And then I think Björn is also in German time. And then I know the Manuel is in California this week. Dave Bembridge, are you going to come into ONF at some point?
I will check to see if we're going to have a meeting Wednesday. I'll check my calendar and see if I can.
Okay.
So Sean, go ahead.
Sorry.
Actually, early Wednesday, according to PST time zone, I have some awesome meetings, but I think one of my friends can join the conference call.
Yeah, and I have also meeting too. and Dave Bainbridge has also meeting also.
Okay, so Sean Ying, I had a question there because you were mentioning Deutsche Telekom as well. So I had kind of thought this meeting that Sean Mesut would be working on for Wednesday would be involving the folks that had identified during the lockdown. Are you thinking this should be broader, or is it just for the four that had kind of tacked up their company names on that item?
I think let's focus on the four, since they expressed the interest, but I think the discussion maybe should be open, and whoever wants to join can join.
Okay.
But
right.
Again, are you offering a conference bridge?
Honestly, I think there's going to be a lot of whiteboarding over here. And,
yeah, I think so too.
I would rather do it face-to-face in Menlo. And then, on Thursday, on our open calls, our conclusions from that meeting, we can make that known.
That was going to be my proposal as well. So we have one
that's a great idea. Yeah.
session lined up for Thursday. So how about if you have your face-to-face with hopefully a conference call to allow NetSia to participate, and then have the readout for that in one of the time slots on Thursday. And then that way, Sean Ying, I think that will meet the intent of what you were looking for and allow it still to be productive for that detailed meeting slated for Wednesday. So Sean Ying, is that okay?
No, it's great. It's great.
Okay. Then let me add an
if you send a meeting request to us as well, maybe Bora or other people from NetSia can join these face-to-face meetings.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
So Sean Massett, yeah, make sure the face-to-face. Let's invite Bora also.
Sure. Is he on? I guess he's on VOLTHA Discuss, but okay.
Oh, we can contact him directly.
Okay. All right.
I have his cell phone.
Yeah, and David, please let us know if you can make it. And so we have NTT in house, we have Radisys, we have us, of course,
AT&T,
and if and AT&T, Sean, if you can join, but also
of course,
yeah, if Bora and David can join, that'll be great.
Yeah, and Thursday morning is open for me as well if we need to pick a different day.
Thursday morning is a readout, right?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
That's
okay.
the hopeful plan here. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I think we have at least a path forward for this discussion, and then that will eventually then lead to the creation of the epics and user stories. So let's wait and then have that follow-up discussion with the larger community on Thursday. Then I think I can move on to the next item. So Chip, yes, you are still on. I think you had completed the entry of the epics user stories for the remaining open OpenSky work. Is that correct, or are you still expecting? Okay, thank you. I'll mark that.
Oh no, I'm actually still working on them. I need to scope them some more. So
okay.
there's work to do. Sorry.
Okay, so in progress.
Well, especially I think we need to hook that up with the the technology profiles plus the OpenFlow data, right? That needs to drive the message sets, I think, that need to go down to the ONUs.
Okay. And then on the OpenOLT adapter, what is the status for epics and user stories there?
I think we have to come up with those sort of talk to Shad and Jono, and we need to get that into the JIRA.
Okay, so I will put a TBD. So do you have like an estimated date when you think that will be able to happen?
We should be able to get it in by, when's your deadline? 28th, is it?
We were hoping to have it in by the end of this week, so
yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I will put on track. Okay, and then on EdgeCore OLT adapter enhancement.
Well, I think that
on that or dependencies on other items first.
Yeah, that's going to be driven by a lot of technology profile, MCI stuff.
Okay, I'll clean up that wording after the call. Okay, so this one is kind of on hold because of the dependencies of other on hold okay. All right, I think that covers it for the items. If I change the screens really quickly, that we talked about kind of on this list.
Julie?
Yes.
Simulator, is that not one of the things that
Let's see.
we want to create stories for?
It is.
Although, yeah, we still have to have a discussion on that first, though.
Yeah, so that one, let me add, I should have added it to this list here. Okay.
Yeah, in principle, if David can come in, I'm sure we can spend some time talking about the simulator as well.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Julie, just one other thing that was mentioned at the lockdown meeting too was basically I guess, with the discussion of a kind of a second management path, you know, for managing equipment, status, alarms, that kind of thing. You know, as we deprecate the XPON, the NetConf Yang model, I mean, are we going to need to essentially replace, say, like I need to manage an ONT, for instance, right? So would I automatically create an instance of an ONU on Discovery now, and you know, have the same kind of attributes and alarms, software upgrade, etc., that we would have, you know, we currently support around XPON? I mean, is that something we need to add for 2.0 so we can at least, you know, see the status of things around the ONU?
But those are, a lot of that has to come through discussion, right? First, before we add stories, I mean, we have to know what we're adding stories for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as a discussion item, yes. I mean, that makes sense. But as a software deliverable, I mean, adding a story doesn't make sense before we actually talk about it, right?
Yeah, sure. I thought we kind of moved on to the discussion bit.
Oh, I see.
I was kind of jumping in.
Okay. I was thinking that sort of fell under this first item here, and I was going to get a status on that.
Okay.
Are you thinking it's beyond what would fall under this item?
No, I guess that would be it. Yeah.
Okay. So the next group are the block of scope items that we identified that need further discussion before we can get around to entering the epics and user stories. So I wanted to get a check from folks on the call today on where we are with those discussions, and if we have target dates for any of these that we think we can bring some initial presentations or discussion material to the TST calls for deep dives to try and get some a sense of where we want to head with these for the 2.0 work. So I'll probably just start with going down the list. So the first one on here was the abstraction for FCAP management, which I think Sean was just talking about as well. And so this one, do we have an update from anyone on AT&T on when we may have something, when we should target a Thursday TST call for some deep discussion?
Julie, this is Mike Gasser. I am currently working on breaking up some different pieces of FCAPS, and I'm hoping that I will have something by Thursday. I don't know if there's any time Thursday, but I'm hoping to have some discussion of some of the operational status parameters that we're looking for, and how they could potentially be modeled for discussion. I don't know if there's time on Thursday, or either this Thursday or next Thursday. I don't know what's on the plate for Thursday.
This Thursday we have let's see if we've got Philip on. We do have no, I don't see him. We have a presentation planned from Adtran on G.fast, and then we have the readout for the technology profile. So I expect that probably.
Okay, well then we should definitely be ready.
Probably the next Thursday.
Well, yeah. So I'm working through going through the different pieces of what AT&T considers to be the FCAPS functionality, and the first piece that I'm working on is operational status, and so I should have that ready for next Thursday.
Okay. can spell today. I think that was May 3rd. And actually, let me take a question back to the group right now. So we're planning to kick off the first sprint next week. So I was still tentatively planning to reserve the Tuesdays for status updates on JIRA issues and tracking the progress of the sprint. Do you think we need to pull out some time from Tuesdays in order to cover all of these items in a timely fashion? Or do you think just sticking with the Thursday meetings will be okay? Any views from the group?
I think we should do Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay, I think so as well.
I can go Tuesday.
Okay, that was my question, so thank you. And that would be May
1st.
Yep. All right. And then the next item on the agenda was, or on this list rather, was for alarms PM. And that again,
I think that would fold into what I'm looking at on the FCAPs. So that would kind of be some of the subsequent sessions that we might have on FCAPs.
Okay, so preliminary material for that as well. And then how about on the security side?
Well. Let me. That's not part of my operational status. That's not part of 5.1.
Yep.
That would be a future discussion to bring to the table. So it's not what I'm focusing on for next week.
So I'll have to. I think Tom is looking at that. So Julie to check. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And then next item, log management. David, I think you were planning to put together a brief white paper, essentially. So do we have a status on when?
Yeah, I got something on the wiki that I've written up. I haven't sent it to the distribution or the email list, discuss list, just because I want to do probably one more read on it today, and then I'll announce it there.
Okay.
The idea being, once that's there, people can add additional things that I've missed or that they want to see on the list as well. And then from that, once we get settled on that, the idea would be to create JIRA items under that or based off that.
Okay, great. So that looks like that's underway. So thank you for that. Next item, ONF, I think you'd already mentioned the simulator. And so it sounded like you may be targeting, if David can come down this week, you may be targeting some discussion there as well.
Yeah, yeah. With hopefully someone from Turk Telecom would be there, and an entity as well. There's a possibility that entity could help with the simulator as well.
So should I put down that you're targeting discussion this week?
Yes.
Okay, and then if you, hopefully that happens, do you think you could target sometime next week for discussion with the community?
Yeah, I believe so.
Saurav, actually next week, one of my colleagues will move to the US, and next week will be very good for us. Is it possible to postpone this work to next week, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah, Julie, I think we have a lot of stuff
we do.
For next week. Yeah, so I think this, maybe a couple of them can be pushed off a little bit. That'd be fine. I think the security will be pushed off, and the simulator will be wait until next week. Yeah.
Okay. And Saurav, are you going to be setting up that meeting? Or
Saurav, I'll work with you.
Yeah, let me talk to Masood offline and figure out what's best.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I cannot type today. Sorry, folks. All right, there we go. And the last item that I have on the agenda today, so hopefully that covered most everything. Okay, there are some other items that I think kind of will fold into the other topics as we go along. And then we did have that request for the service providers to review the open work that remains for OpenOMCI and to, if possible, prioritize that work or give views on that. And then Chip did have a sort of default prioritization that he proposed that would be what he would work towards, I think, if he didn't get any feedback. So Sean, I think I do have the slide deck or the slide here if you'd like me to show it. We do have some feedback from AT&T. Sean, do you want me to just bring it up on my screen and have you present?
Me?
Yes. Or who's going to give the feedback from AT&T is what I'm looking for.
Oh, I think Julie. I guess we can represent AT&T to present.
Okay. I thought when we discussed it yesterday, you were going to review it with the group. That's why I was asking you. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go
All
ahead.
Right. If you want,
I'll assign you.
Do it, I will. Okay. So speaking on behalf of AT&T, not as Scrum Master, then for the moment, we had some preliminary prioritization discussion on our side on AT&T, and lots of it looks really similar, I think, to what Chip had proposed as well. So with the OMCI state machines, the prioritization that we had was first MIB sync state, then software download and activation, then alarm sync, PM, and then OMCI test services. Then on the other features, it was fairly similar as well, but a little different. Since we're not targeting containerization of OpenOMCI in 2.0, we just crossed that off the list. But I left it on here since it was on the first slide, because that was an open item for discussion at that time. So we did leave the example OMCI tasks kind of at the top, because we thought that could be useful for a template for as reference material for other work going forward. And then I think this may be where a change came up on our side. We brought the Broadcom ONU device adapter support for the modifications or for this to utilize. The OpenOMCI framework brought that up near the top as well. And then if there are other services that are brought in 2.0 that require additional ME frame support, it seemed logical for that to bubble up to the top as well. And then improving the external database performance, increasing the unit test coverage, and then going on further down the list, the CLI and our NBI support, ONU capability discovery. So this would be this comes into importance more if there are other specifications beyond what the V3.0 from AT&T's OpenOMCI requirements. Other versions come in, but this is going to come in play. I don't think any had been identified to the community yet, which is why we place this further down the list. If something comes in, then this could bubble up higher, I believe. And then down near the bottom on our list was the power shedding support, and then the extended OMCI message format and operation. So if we compare that to, I don't have a good way to compare this. So here was the list from Chip from the lockdown with the request for the prioritization. And you can see it's pretty similar to what he had here. Actually, first part. I wonder if I can switch. Yeah. So MIB sync software alarm performance test, MIB sync software alarm performance and test. So this was actually in the same order for the state machines, and just some minor differences, I think, in AT&T's views on the other features. So Chip, do you have any questions?
No, that helps out. I mean, I'm working on stories for all of these, and probably for several of them, we can probably break them down into even smaller tasks, and we'll see where we can line up each thing. Because I know you want something that's deployable.
Yeah.
But so I want to make sure we have the details so we know what we're done.
And then also a reminder to the community that there is an open request out there for additional help on some of this work also. And so what makes it into 2.0 for the remaining OpenOMCI features is going to depend in part on what resources are available to do the work, just like everything else. But I did want to note that from the lockdown, we did have the open request for additional help. And then anything else you want to add there, Chip?
No, I guess probably one of the things is we have a TNW based Broadcom adapter that we can work with here, but if someone has the other one and could help maybe implement getting OpenOMCI up and running on it, then I could probably follow up on the TNW, make sure they're sort of in sync, and that would help both separate some of the tasks and the responsibilities there.
Do you also need other, you know, I think right now most of the ONU we know of, like Alpha Network, TNW, and maybe Arcadia, I think they're all the Broadcom series, right? So, yeah. but I don't think one from the group of the ONU vendor can present everything, right? It should not be.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any OMCI stack specifics that are regional devices. And getting, you know, 2 to 3 ONU devices up, that might help us as we start implementing the technology profiles and implementing services. Maybe we can find ways to boil some of this down so we can have a generic ONU adapter.
Okay. If you need any contact information, ask me. I may have other. But again, you know, this community work, so we would like to have other community member to, you know, chime in also, and also service providers. I think Julie, we asked Chip regarding to like OMCI tech services and CLI and NBI support. Then Chip provide a good explanation on those. So if the community member has some question regarding to the spreadsheet Julie just listed and regarding to what the test service and or NBI support is about, we can also append those answered in this write-up, I guess, meeting notice.
Okay. So since I'm about out of time, I can have you circle back with me on that later to make sure I capture what you wanted. so I have a note here. I think, Chip, this was your intent, is trying to find someone to update the Broadcom adapter to use the OpenOMCI framework, and then it sounds like if we can find someone to do that first, then you may be able to extend that also to updating the TNW adapter. Was that
yeah, that's correct. And actually, I've got some of the work actually done, but I'm not in a position to actually do some of the testing.
Okay.
And I've got a page out there that describes the changes. So I'm trying to be a little bit helpful there, but I'm tied up in other planning as well this week.
Okay. And for those who haven't seen it, I don't have it up handy right now, but there is on the wiki in the OpenOMCI section, there is an example of what would need to be done to modify an adapter to make use of the OpenOMCI framework. And I am out of time, so let me just switch back and put my take the AT&T hat off, put the Scrum Master hat back on. I have my screen I'm looking for. Okay, so this was, of course, just the feedback from AT&T. So if there are other service providers who have prioritization feedback that they'd like to provide to Chip as well, we can bring that up and discuss it during the meetings, or we can also utilize VOLTHA Discuss if that's easier. So just a call if there are other service providers interested in giving feedback when we're in this early stage for the prioritization features, that would be great.
Or forward me an email and I'll follow up with everybody.
Yes. All right, any questions from the group before we drop for today? Okay, then was there a question or a comment?
No.
Okay, then for Thursday's call, I guess there is.
so you're going to on your no, that's fine.
Okay,
We can talk
Thursday,
offline.
okay, on Thursday's call, then we do have this planned readout related to the discussions that will take place tomorrow, hopefully, on the technology profiles. And then we will also have a presentation from AdTran on G.fast. Okay, I think that's it for today. So thank you, everyone, for your work and for your time. And I will go ahead and drop the bridge and post this to the playlist once I have the recording ready. All right, thank you.